Power of the law to translate the passion from the streets to the courtrooms of our country, to do the work that is about reminding us of the promise of America, which includes the promise of freedom and equality, and I would add also access to.
Now, Congress is planning to make big changes. Starting in just a few weeks, the low-income households could be set to qualify for a new type of relief. If you're struggling to pay necessities for rent, you may be eligible to receive a bonus check worth up to $500. And now 20 states have already failed to raise the minimum wage above the federal $7.25 an hour standard. 16 everybody have more than 12% of their children living in poverty. And anti-poverty advocates say that it's a sign there's an urgent need for lawmakers to increase the funding and do more to help struggling families. Congress had the opportunity to achieve the latter by expanding the child tax credit before the end of the year, but lawmakers just didn't arrive at a deal with Republicans to include it in the spending bill. Some say that raising the minimum wage would not lead to as fast or drastic of an improvement. However, according to analysis, in 2019, increasing the amount to $15 an hour would lift more than 500,000 people out of poverty, and the Economic Policy Institute estimated in 2021 that if Congress passed a $15 minimum wage increase by 2025, up to 4 million people wouldn't even have to live in poverty, 1.3 million of those being children. But there are lawmakers in Congress that want to continue to send families monetary relief checks. So far, Congressman Adam Schiff has sent a letter, and he's urging the House to extend the expanded child tax credit as soon as possible. The child tax credit monthly payments are used by millions of families in California and across the country to pay for necessities including food, rent, and educational expenses. This American Rescue Plan has actually critically expanded its reach and benefits, folks, increasing monthly checks and the number of eligible recipients by removing an earnings requirement that kept the lowest income families from claiming the full credit. But so far, between July and December, child poverty was slashed by nearly 40% to reach a record low of 5.2, and now 3 million people were lifted out of poverty in a single month. But Congress has put nearly 10 million children nationwide at risk of falling deeper and deeper into poverty, as they did not pass a bill to continue this expansion. But as House Democrats put forward the biggest legislative priorities over the next 4 weeks, Adam Schiff is urging that an extension of the child tax credit is included to any year-end package. The expanded child tax credit provided a lifeline to more than 65.6 million children nationwide and nearly 8 million people in California, folks. So far, everybody. According to data from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, since the expansion expired, an estimated 20 million children nationwide have been unable to claim the full payment. And then we have another thing to talk about, folks. It's a Democratic lawmakers introducing the new bill to increase the state child tax credit for working families. This is done in efforts to address rising levels of poverty in the city and states of New York. And this is pretty good because it now means that stimulus payments could be sending out more and be sent out now in 2022 and 2024 and even in 2025. A bill to create the New York State Working Families Credit would actually increase the state child tax credit program to the $1,500 per child from $500 and expand eligibility to children under age 4 and families making some pretty no money. Families actually would be paid quarterly, and since single taxpayers making just a gross income of $25,000 or less, or couples making $50,000 or less who file joint return, they would be eligible for the benefit. The State Department of Taxation and Finance would assess a family's eligibility for the credit through income filings from their annual tax return. The U.S. also started 2023 yet again as one of the few wealthy nations without any national paid family leave or paid sick leave program. Folks, this is bad because with Congress divided, advocates are turning to states to bolster benefits for workers and families, and the Democrats attempt to pass 4 weeks of paid federal family leave to fall apart in the U.S. Senate, leaving a patchwork of rules for workers and businesses to navigate across. The state-by-state nature of this is pretty dangerous. Of the rules means that millions of Americans, millions of families are in need of help, and it means that something should be done sooner than later, because now, as of this year, 13 states, including D.C., have passed some paid family leave program. 14 states and D.C. have enacted the paid sick leave program, but an estimated 28 million workers still have no guaranteed paid sick time.
The great Frances Perkins, FDR's labor secretary, once said, "A government should aim to give all the people under its jurisdiction the best possible life." That's it. That's the job. That's what we're here to do. And I cannot stand here and say we're done yet. Because even though we've set the
We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, and of course the fourth stimulus payment that President Biden should be sending out in 2023. A lot of people are saying it's not going to be sent out, but I have sources telling me that they will be sending out stimulus checks in 2023 because anything is possible. We know this for sure because President Biden's done in the past, Democrats have done in the past, and Republicans have also sent out stimulus payments in the past. I think President Biden will do more for the American people. Hopefully, he will. By the way, if you guys are in need of a $60 free Amazon gift card, then watch this video and enter the code at the end of this video because I'll be giving away the code for you to redeem a free $60 Amazon gift card. It's a free Amazon gift card, folks, and you want to be sure to redeem it because it's a free $60 Amazon gift card. Right now, the year is not over yet, and that means President Biden is taking action to pass this bill. There are clear bright spots in the economy for hope in 2023. Hiring remains surprisingly resilient, and the economy added a robust 263,000 jobs already. A lot of jobs being created, and that means more stimulus. Now, this is just above the half-century low that was tied early this year, although major tech and media companies, including Amazon and Twitter, have laid off thousands of workers. Initial jobless claims remain low, and new numbers published this week show for the first time that applications for unemployment benefits edged up at 225,000. That's still low historically and almost exactly where jobless claims were a year ago. Economists have told CNN that there's a reason to be optimistic about the economy, and that it could skirt into recession. Without mass layoffs, it's unlikely consumers will stop spending and the economy suffer a downturn. The cost of living is just still way too high. We all agree on that, everybody. You guys agree with that the cost of living is too high? If you do, tell me in the comments, because the rate of inflation appears to have peaked. Consumer prices soared by 7% over a year in November. At almost any other point in the past 40 years, that would be very high. But this marked the 5th straight month of improvement and a significant cool down from 9% in June. It's also the lowest annual inflation rate in nearly a year. After spiking $5 a gallon for the first time ever in June, gas prices have plunged again, and the national average for regular gas recently declined to $3.10 a gallon. That's an 18-month low. By the way, how you guys doing on gas? Do you think President Biden should do better on this and lower the gas prices? Is it still too expensive for you guys? Tell me in the comments. And continue watching because gas prices are expected to climb again this spring and summer. For now at least, experts are now forecasting a return to $5 a gallon. For much of the past year, wages have been hot inflation, but that means stimulus checks should be sent out faster, right? The Fed's warning of inflation, and it's the reason the risk of a recession is significant. Central bank is effectively slamming the brakes on the economy. The spike in borrowing costs has already set off a deep slump in the housing market, and the fears that the Fed will eventually overdo it, raising interest rates so high and keeping them there for so long that it causes a recession. Fed officials have been signaled that they could be ready to pause their inflation-fighting payments and campaign in the late winter or early in the spring. Jerome Powell has made it clear that the Fed isn't even anywhere near ready to hit the economy. So, South Carolina